are live. Not Memorex. It's raining here. Which is kind of dumb. By the way, if you don't have one of these, get one. Got all this steam. So I'm hot. What's up, everybody? Is there anybody in here? What's up, you 7 people? James Best is the master of getting like 80 people in at 7 in the morning. I am doing it wrong. I do a lot of things wrong. Three's a charm. What do you mean by that, Scott? We're stiff. We're getting old. Did you read that report? Oh, yeah. I glanced at it, told my wife about it, but I have not, like, read it in depth. Headlines like that just, you know, you view things, and people are like, what are you talking about? You view things like from an aerial view, and it's easy to see the hypocrisy, the nonsense, how things aren't making sense, and it just, I don't know, makes me afraid for our world. Daniel Adami nailed it. GNC family truck and RD yelling at the windshield. Scott SRO, Overtax, Minnesota. Nailed it. Go hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Truck for life. Good morning. You back to work yet, Mr. Landstar? Pale Rider TV in the house. It was great talking to you, my friend, yesterday. I'm sure we're going to get a nice Friday night live feed from Mr. Pale Rider, where we talk about anything and everything. There's no such thing as off topic with Pale Rider's live feed. Actually, that's not true. The Google gods are watching. You gotta watch what you're dealing with. Whatever happened to your dad's truck? Well, his last truck that he owned was I forget what year, but it was a 362 Peterbilt cab over. It's the one with the triple windshield wipers, and it had the double sleeper, and it was a nice truck. And it also had an all stainless reefer trailer. When we moved to Springfield, he decided to get out of the owner-operator game and gave that truck back. So, and after that, he was company driving after that. Volrath Travel Adventure 93. Hello, sir. Good morning. Watching from Camiguin Island, Philippines. I probably just butchered that name. I apologize, but welcome. Welcome to our country. I am fine. Dice Man going live. What's up? OTJB just rambles on until he gets to 80 viewers. It can take 3 hours, 16 hours. No, he gets those numbers pretty early, Chucky. I've seen him at 5 in the morning get those kind of numbers, which is fine. I'm glad to see. Look, there's a few YouTube channels I've seen become more and more successful, and James Best is going to surpass me before we know it. Another one is Great Freight Sage Logic. I have to slow down my brain before I say his name, because I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to be that guy, right? So, he's over 1,000 subs. It was nice because about a month ago he called me, goes, how do I get more subs? So I gave him a few tips. Boom, took off. Wish I could do that for myself. So, no, today after 5 months out, I need some time with the family. Well, truck for life, that is true. That is the cost of having high costs. So you run yourself ragged, what's the point, right? We're trying to get a Landstar guy over here that likes trucking, because, you know, he was telling us, we won't name who it is, but he was telling us the frustrations. I'm like, yeah, I remember dealing with that too. Well, guess what? In the spot market, this is how you deal with that. You know, we'll have to do a comparison video someday. My dad is also a truck driver like you. The name of his channel is JBG Travels. Okay. That truck sounds wonderful. Hashtag trailer. It will be a 4-hour Pale Rider live feed discussion on broccoli. What is my load today? I really don't put that out there if I don't have to. YouTube's doesn't always send out notifications. Yeah, I get it. Look, I've probably said something about something that Google doesn't like, so my analytics are kind of down. And then I also know that in my channel, not with other people's channels, but in my channel, if I go live too many times, it kind of hurts my numbers. You got to have that. You got to have the right title, right? You know, Pale Rider and I were talking about this. Pale Rider and I are always scheming about our YouTube channels and what we could do to improve our numbers. And what Pale Rider's got planned, that's going to do it. I mean, I'm not trying to build it up. Pale Rider's got something that is going to change this channel a little bit. So, yeah, we'll let RD get sucked into that argument right there. Notice I just kind of left that alone, RD. Yep, nailed it. That's I try not to. I use the word tools. But yet other channels talk about it all the time and their analytics are great. So it's just live feeds, you definitely can't show it. So I mean, they will shut you down pretty quickly. Now, with that being said, so let's go with the title. We'll go with two things here, okay? First part of the title is fasting. We're on a 24-hour fast. I ate dinner about 7 o'clock last night. And haven't eaten since. We're just having our coffee. And then we won't eat until 7 o'clock tonight. I'm probably going to work this weekend, so I might have to step into Walmart and get a few more things for the weekend, but we plan on staying out because I have to be home next weekend to deal with some business stuff. We're scheming. We are. Nick Brashears, picking up my normal, then home for the weekend. Good deal. Good morning, Snorelord, and safe travels. Thank you, John. Do you want to see the beauty of nature here in the Philippines? I've seen... I get the beauty of nature in the Ozarks of Missouri. We're good. What did you do with the drives you replaced? They were scrapped. They were no good. I got every ounce of life out of those tires. LVC, I failed the fast. It's not that hard if stay busy. That is true. One of the tips that Jason Funk gives you is on your 16 or 24-hour fasting day, have a busy day. Because have you ever had a day where you forgot to eat? That's why, because your mind's not set on it. You know, there's a lot of aspects of our society that have programmed us to eat. Now, James Best was talking about healthcare on his channel. And part of the problem of why we don't have universal health care is because a lot of it is our diets. We eat like crap, and the companies profit off of the diabetes, the cancer treatments, everything. They profit off all that. We're going to profit you in the beginning, and we're going to profit you at the end. And so by creating universal health care, that wipes all that away. Obamacare did not solve the original problem, which is the profiting of all the insurance companies. So that's why you have doctors that will push medications for that extra money. And that's why, all these doctors come over here, because they know that they can get rich by being a doctor over here. So, but that's all we're going to say about that. So by fasting, you're saying no to the system that keeps us fat, sick, and happy. You're not worried about your health if you don't have to work. You're not worried about your long-term care if your mega expensive free insurances. And so there's a lot going on there. But fasting is a great way to heal, great way to cleanse, and a great way to just not give in. It does take practice. It does. The intermittent is first, the 16-hour. Don't eat unless it's between hours of noon and 8. And then noon and 6. And then you can close it from 2 to 5. Have a small meal at 2, have a small meal at 5. And then once you get that going, once your body's starting to get what they call fat adapted, then the fasting part's easy. And what I found with fasting, and Little Light Coach, you can agree with me, the majority part that was redundant, I'm sorry. The majority aspect of fasting that's the challenge is mental. That's it. Especially when you're like, let's say you get fuel at noon, and you're kind of hungry, your stomach's like, hey, what's up, dude? You forget about me? Man, that fried chicken over there smells pretty dang good, don't you think? Those burritos over there smell pretty dang good, don't you think? Come on, we're getting fuel. We need fuel. Look, Pilot's got this 2-for-1. Look at that. Or if you're doing a lot of sitting like I do, where I when you're only doing 200 or 300 miles a day, making my daily rate, I do a lot of sitting. So, there's a lot of boredom. There's a lot, when you're doing like a lot of local, regional stuff, there's a lot of dock sitting that you got to do. And so you get bored. We eat when we're bored. We eat when we're happy. We eat when we're sad. And the smells are concocted to get you in. So it is a mental. There is a mental aspect, and that's why it's so cleansing, because that was one of the best aspects of when I lost my weight, is I no longer was controlled by food. And that's it. That's how you have to look at it. Pale Rider, we don't want to see you in a bikini. There isn't universal health care because the insurance companies and the politicians will never let that happen. They make a fortune. Screaming Demon, right there. That's it. That's Screaming Demon just said it. Said it all. I will be up on 70 in Missouri tonight. I'll buy you dinner after your fast. If you're in the area, call me. All right, Chucky, I'll make sure you text me or something later. I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't have a load booked after where I deliver. So this ain't going to be a long live feed because I don't have a set appointment, but I don't want to start my clock too early, but I don't want to stop it too late either. Is Snorelord lip syncing? Am I? I may not have the best signal. It's showing fuzzy on my other phone, so we may not have the best signal. Eat some of my ex-wife's cooking. You won't want to eat again anytime soon. Yeah, I have a problem getting sucked into an argument. RD. Pale Rider says he looks good in a bikini. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right, Pale Rider? 2 for $6 or something without all the salt and sugar. Well, I mean that's a big part of it. The government subsidies is enabling, and it's an incentive for the cheap bad food. Look, when they discovered corn, fructose, high corn, whatever crap, and soda companies could literally do what they do at like a fraction of the cost, it was a no-brainer. It just so happens the side effect of that is that it goes straight to your bloodstream more than sugar does. If you lose a pound a week, you're away soon. The line coach, do you weigh over 200 pounds? Says Marty. I don't think he does. I mean, there has been a couple of rare body shots of him. I don't think he's an overweight guy. Good morning, brother. Snorelord. Just got empty at home of Columbus. Got long weekend, but still chilly. No, Marty, went below 200. I didn't like being that size. I run about 210. I'm 6 foot, but muscle weighs more than fat. So let's talk about Columbus for a second. We'll get off the fasting thing if you want. We'll come back to it. Don't worry. But so I've got the Scanner radio app, and number one, RD, you listening? Number one, download DuckDuckGo for Googling. Because if you Google the word riot, the capital stuff comes up, but not the Minneapolis stuff, not the Portland stuff, okay? If you Google protest, those stuff comes up, but very biased press, okay? If you DuckDuckGo search that stuff, the right articles come up. It's not a conservative liberal thing. It's just that, you know, DuckDuckGo is not using the entities of commerce to fuel what they show you. Okay, so my Scanner radio app went off last night. Chicago. Something's going on in Chicago. 7,000 people listening in Chicago. Okay, so I go to Google, nothing. A bunch of shootings in the past in Chicago, but nothing current, right? And it said shooting. Well, when I put it on DuckDuckGo, guess what? There was a 13-year-old kid that was shot by a cop, okay? And that happened, I don't know how far back it happened, but they released a video, and that's why Chicago is reacting, okay? So that's why Chicago was blown up. And then I got another one for Indianapolis. So as you guys go on the loop and you're heading westbound on 70, you know, the basically the west side of Indy, you got the big FedEx airport, right? Big FedEx terminal. Yeah, someone went postal there and shot 8 people, or shot a bunch of people. 8 people were killed. So Indy was lit up. Google didn't even show that in the beginning. They just, you know, so you're, you know, and look, and all it is going to give fuel to the fire of some of the laws that they're trying to do. And the reality is that the gist of it is if you're mentally unstable, which most of the country is now, and sales went up, things are bound to happen. It's going to give everybody an excuse to go, we need help, we need, you know, fear is what sells you on things. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. You've been using DuckDuckGo for a long time. Well, I'm late to the game, RD. I'm late to the game. My wife's been using DuckDuckGo for a long time. So, what is it? Is it an app? What are you guys talking about? Oh yeah, it's a browser. It's an app, but it's basically a search engine. DuckDuckGo is a search engine. I'm sorry, should have been more clear. DuckDuckGo is a search engine. Go watch some videos on autophagy, Marty. That's why I do it. 8 people at FedEx. Yep. Well, CNN app news show me that FedEx incident this morning, but I ignored it. Thought it was something else. Well, look. What was it? CNN was found to be, that guy was on a date and he was recorded saying all these things that the smart people have already suspected. And about how CNN manipulates how the press, it's not just CNN. Look, ABC News is almost worse than CNN as far as like manipulation. Now, a friend of mine called me yesterday and told me about a video by a guy named Dr. Reality who was talking about the mass, and that video got taken down. And he was basing that video off of a study that was done by a heavy left-leaning college about mass. So, thought police are alive and well, people. We need to fill up. Turn off the APU. Don't need it on anymore. But it's Friday. Not sure what we got planned for this weekend. I was talking to a fellow driver that was running that short stuff with me. He said it's changed. It's gone to something else now, and they're looking for drivers. I might do that for the weekend, or I might stretch my legs. We don't know. I agree with that, RD. Colin Noir is the guy to check out on YouTube. Yes, nailed it. He is a African American lawyer. Am I right? Nailed it. Who is pro 2A all the way. He like if you watch him from his range, it's actually pretty good. He's got like old cars out there and stuff, and tires and all that. Quick question: what fuel card do you use? Trying to get the best one to save cents, more money. We use Thunder Funding's card that gives us a Schneider discount. It's an EFS card. Right now, because of Jeff's status, well, not Jeff, but Like Trucking's status, we are on what they call the cost plus program. So we get cost plus 5 cents. So it's comparable to NASDAQ. Our old discount was 23 cents or 28 cents at TA Petro, and 11 and 12 cents at Love's. Nothing at Pilot, nothing at the mom and pops, but sometimes the mom and pop prices beat after the straight discount. But here lately, the new discount that we've got has actually even been better than the mom and pop. So if I'm not feeling at a TA Petro, I'm usually feeling, or Love's, I'll feel it like Quick Trip or Come and Go or something like that. And so I've seen some discounts as high as like $50 in some of my fuel trips. Marty, you can also go watch videos on muscle loss and seropenia and retaining muscle as you age. Little Bike Coach, that was one of the best things about that book from Jason Fung, is it tells you, like we've we've all been ingrained that starvation is bad, right? There's a difference between starvation and fasting. There's a difference there. And there's even a whole section of the book where it talks about the myths of fasting, and muscle loss was always one of them. There's been a lot of studies basically, proving that muscle loss is not the issue when you're fasting. DIY Semi Trucking and More, what's up? Greg Zimmer, good morning. But I've been looking forward to these Friday fasts. Those of you who don't know the history, Little Viking Coach started this. He started the whole fasting Friday. And it's, and the best way to do a 24-hour fast is you go from dinner at night to dinner at night. And that way you're sleeping for half of it. And after a while, there are times when you're going to feel hungry, but you're not like raging hungry, and after a while, it goes away. You belch and it goes away. That's been my experience. Now, if you're diabetic, if you have other issues, then that's a different story. I can't help you because, a lot of doctors will freak out. I don't know. Jason Fung's got another book called The Guide to Fasting. That's my next Audible listen. Now, after the book I'm on now, I'm on a book called Sovereignty by Ryan Michler. He's got a YouTube channel called Order of Men. And it's something I wish I would have found like 20 years ago. If I would have listened at that time. So. Pigtail, what's up? So. But I love doing the fasting because number one, it saves money. And number two, it really gets down. Look, when you do fasting, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Us YouTubers love to say, look, here's the deal. When you do fasting and you force yourself to not do the mindless snacking, not to have just the meal because it's that time of day, you really get to the core of why. You get to the core of helping yourself figure out why you overeat. Why you eat what you eat and why you eat when you eat. It really gets down to that. I found that I love breakfast stuff. I love breakfast burritos. I love going into the truck stop in the morning and it gives me a nice warm fuzzy feeling as I'm getting my coffee and back in the day, my sweetened creamers and the breakfast burritos or the breakfast sandwiches, and my mouth waters just thinking about that because it's a controlled response. You guys have heard of the dog with the bell food experiment, where the doctor or the scientist or whatever took his dog, and every time he fed him, he rang a bell. And then it got to the point that he just had to ring the bell and the dog expected food. It's the same thing. So the first thing I realized is that was a problem for me. When I first did my first Friday fast, that was the first thing. I was like, wow, that's a habitual thing. That's like lighting up a cigarette in the morning. That's a habitual thing. Okay. All right. So I got to figure that one out. And then I immediately left that truck stop, went to pick up a load that was taking about 3 hours to load me. And I find myself sitting in this truck. Man, I'm bored. I'm going to grab something to eat. Wait a minute. I can't. I'm fasting today. But I wasn't hungry. It was out of boredom. So I knew boredom, sitting in the truck too long, boredom. And that happens while driving too. I also find that if I call somebody on the phone, I immediately want to start eating as well, which is weird. It's I don't know. It's a weird thing, right? So once you figure out the roots of why and when you eat, okay, what triggered that? Well, the smells and the habitual aspect of the breakfast stuff. Um, were trigger points. You have to just like if you're trying to treat drug addiction or alcoholism, what triggers that? What triggers you to pick up the pipe? What triggers you to pick up that beer? That starts a downward spiral. What triggers that? And so once you figure out what triggers you to eat, when you're not hungry, that's when you can really start getting to the nuts and bolts of weight loss. Don't believe me? Look at my old videos. I'm living proof that this can be done. Good morning, Steve. Out here driving kind of down in the dumps. So glad you went live. Didn't get any sleep last night. Toss and turn. Thomas, I hope you resolved the issue that you're dealing with. You and I had a great conversation yesterday, and stay safe if you're in Indy, because you gotta. I think they took care of the madman at FedEx, but you never know. Breakfast burritos are keto. Yeah, if they're wrapped in meat and cheese. Boy, those salespeople at Joplin Kenworth were crooked. Johnny Sacco, they were renewing CFI trucks with a nice paint job, but every truck had an engine light on. Look, Tom Gorley, he talked about he had trouble with that when he was working at the Kenworth dealership. And when you're dealing with older fleet trucks like CFI trucks, now prime trucks are a little bit different. All the prime, look, a lot of ex-prime trucks are Peterbilts right now and Freightliners. And so a lot of these Peterbilt dealerships have those trucks. But they all paint the frames. They all, make it look pretty. They all detail them. But I do know that a CFI truck I wouldn't get, because number one, they don't put APUs on the trucks. And number two, I have friends that have worked for CFI and said that they'll come out of the shop and they'll have the check engine lights on. Johnny Sacco, you're dealing with one of the most difficult aspects of the trucking industry is buying trucks. And it's sad. I haven't bought a truck for them in 4 years, and the guy that I dealt with retired. So, I have not been impressed with MHC in Springfield with any of their salespeople at all. Their shop has been great for me, but their salespeople, nada. I've yet to find a truck salesman that will bend over backwards, except for the guy at Arrow that sold me my first truck. He bent over backwards for me to make sure that I was in that truck. But I think that you can get a better truck from a dealership used than Arrow, but that's just an opinion. So, sent me a bill of sale before I even took a test drive, $70,000 for a 500,000 mile truck with massive corrosion. Start listening to Michael Saylor on Bitcoin. He will open your eyes on health and wealth. You should send me a link to that, little Viking coach. Pavlov's dog. Yeah, there you go. Have you had good luck with your PACCAR engine? Another deal, I had the prime trucks with the tri-packs, but they all had PACCAR engines. PACCAR is like any other engine. Okay, I've had good things with it. I've had bad things with it. Now, Daniel Adami, who's in here, he had his engine actually blow, but it was covered under warranty. it's just like any other engine as far as like reliability, maintenance, and everything else. So I've had decent luck with mine, but at the same time, my truck cost me 20,000 last year. So it comes down to who has the best warranty that they're going to stand by. The only real disadvantage that I see with PACCAR is that you have to go to the dealership to get them fixed 99% of the time. So your labor costs are going to be higher. But from what shops have told me, like fleet shops, not dealership shops, have told me that PACCARs go down less, but when they do, they cost a little bit more. So in other words, your turbo is going to go out a little bit quicker in a Cummins than the PACCAR, but that PACCAR turbo is going to cost a little bit more. So I would not hesitate to get another PACCAR if I had to. If someone totaled this truck today, I would not hesitate to do it again, because every engine has cost me downtime. Cummins cost me a lot of money. PACCARs cost me a lot of money. I have friends with Freightliners that have cost them a lot of money. It's part of the game. It's part of they're pretty much, in my opinion, again, they're pretty much all equal. So it just depends on the shops that you're going to have to rely on. If the best shop in your town is a Volvo shop, then look at Volvos. If the best shop in your town is a Peterbilt, look at Peterbilt. You're going to if you're a PACCAR and you got to rely on dealers, you got Kenworth and Peterbilt all day long in almost every city. If you go with Volvo, you're going to have a lower network, but there's still enough. And now if you have a Cummins engine or a Detroit engine, your network is bigger. But here's my argument with that. If you have, like, TA and Petro are Freightliner Select certified, right? How many of you have had great luck getting your truck fixed in depth now, not just tires and oil changes, but in depth repairs done at a TA Petro? I'll wait. So the advantage is they can do force regens, they can do certain things. If I need a force regen, I don't have that control. I have to go to a dealership. So, but Johnny, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If the PACCAR was so horrible, fleets would stop using them. Max Force, fleets stopped using them. And that's just it. So I've had this new engine for just over a year. I've put over 140,000 miles on already, and it's still running hard. There you go. LVC so short. The big coins, I watched a couple of minutes. He is buy and dub. You sure got lucky with that engine, Daniel. So look, at this point, Johnny, if you really want to get into buying a truck, it's going to be any port in a storm. I would almost, like, I went to the Volvo dealership in Springfield, and the guy was ready to sell me a truck. He let me see him. He was going to let me test drive him. I'm the one who talked him out of that. And he was upfront with me about what they can give me for my truck. He was willing to make it work. You know, Steve Berger had the similar issue with his Volvo dealership. They were willing to work with him, and he's had no issues with that truck. Provost has had hardly any issues with his truck. I know people that are perfectly happy with PACCAR. There was a company that a friend of mine worked for that's all they get, and they're perfectly happy, whereas the Cummins for them were always down. So I'd rather spend $140,000 on a new truck and pay the $3,000 a month. Johnny, the challenge there is this. You're going to need about 10 to 15 to 20% down on whatever you get, whether it's a $50,000 truck or a $150,000 truck. So you have to jump through more hoops the bigger the loan. For a $60,000 truck, I just had to fill out a 1-page application. Boom, done. Was approved in 24 hours. Actually, that was done with the $126,000 truck too that I looked at. But these days they want you to show money in the bank and all that, and so if you can get your payments to about $2,500 a month, you could survive pretty much any market. And as long as it's got a killer warranty that lasts for as long as the payments, you're golden. That's the key. Doesn't matter what brand, doesn't matter which engine, as long as it suits your needs and it's fitted for the trucking that you will be doing, then you're golden. That's how you look at that. And then once that warranty's up, you put the extra money in or you trade it in. That's how the big companies do it. If you want to pay off the truck and run it for a couple more years, you still got to put that money away, that $2,500 a month away for the just in cases. So, but I feel you, because that $140,000 you can get a warranty, but if there are new trucks out there for $140,000, I say go for it. Don't ever sell the Bitcoin. Use it as a store of value like gold and borrow against it in the future. Can't you get the software to do a forced reach on yourself, or does that void the warranty? Dutch, I believe there are some devices for PACCAR you can do that, but they're pricey. With Detroit, you definitely can. I think those devices are only $200 or $300. But the only thing that really voids warranty is well, I mean, there's a lot of things that void warranties. You just got to be careful of what you do. I don't think that would void a warranty, though. A new truck will never see snow, baby. That truck from day one. Well, that look, that's the advantage of buying a new truck, is everything about that truck. You know that when you get at 380,000 miles, you're going to deal with this. You know that at 500,000 miles, you're going to deal with this. I got really lucky and was able to have all the maintenance records for this truck when I bought it. And when I first looked at it, I was like, holy crap, I'm buying a piece of crap. But then someone pointed out, no, it's been broken in. They had to deal with the interval, and the warranty did its job. The warranty was paid for a majority of the things that happened to this truck early in its life. And so while I wasn't here for every single thing that happened in the beginning, I do know what it was. And so that's the next best thing. And now the advantage, I would hope that if Joplin, CFI is based out of Joplin. Joplin is the one that sold them those trucks. They've turned them in. So you would think that all the maintenance records were there, at least all the warranty work, because that's what happened with me. Prime was going through MHC in Springfield, and I was able to acquire anything that was ever done at a MHC dealership, which was all the warranty work. And so every bit of work I've done has been documented. It's in a folder at home. Whenever I get repairs done, I make copies. So one's for my account and the other one's for my my book. And so anybody who would ever buy my truck is going to know exactly every single thing that's ever been done to this truck. And so yes, you could baby a truck, but you could baby a truck anyways. I mean, if you're not going to run hard, if you're, like I avoid trying to pull 45,000 pounds through the mountains of Utah. I avoid that. I avoid situations that are a lot harder on the truck. And because of that, I get more life on my tires. I get more life on my brakes. I haven't had as many as catastrophic breakdowns as my Peterbilt did. And I run this truck harder than my Peterbilt. The Peterbilt I did have to baby because that thing was about to fall apart. If I pulled a hill in the summertime, I was overheating. And I never got that addressed. You know, that truck, you know, there was, you know, and plastic and rubber breaks after a while. So, you know, the whole point is if you got a paid off truck, you still got to put that money into it and take care of things as they come along. So, exit. What's up? Look, here's you could have a paid off truck, right? You could have a paid off truck, but if you still can't afford the repairs, you're still screwed. You know, a question came up in one of my live feeds about what would happen if you couldn't afford a $2,000 tow bill. Well, if you can't afford a $2,000 tow bill, you're going to hurt, because there's not a truck driver here that's been driving for more than 5 years that hasn't been on a tow truck. Tows cost money, and if you haven't, you will. I've been on a tow truck. And so the trick is being prepared for those downtimes. If you have warranty, you stack the cash. If you don't have warranty, you have to stack the cash. Warranty doesn't cover tow bills. Warranty doesn't cover the truck payment if you can't make it, if the truck's down for a month. Warranty doesn't cover hotel. Warranty doesn't cover car rental. And in this business, sometimes it's every man for yourself. If you got a good network of people that want to help you out, that's fine. But eventually that gets depleted if you can't get your act together on your financial situation. You know, I mean, we were talking to the Landstar guy. Jeff and I were playing recruiter yesterday. You know, basically giving him the raw numbers and how much more he can make with a spot market company making 80%. So it's all about the numbers, you know, and buying a truck is the same way. It's all about the numbers. There are people out here that have brand new trucks at $1,500 a month because they were able to put a lot of money down. And there are people out here with used trucks that are paying almost $3,500 a month because of the financing situation, or because they didn't have any money down, or because it's a high lease payment, but they still had to get the truck used. Either way, you know, it's just how you shuffle that money. Dana was on a tow truck twice last year. These trucks are made to work, so don't baby it too much. It could be more damaging. GNC, that's true. You got to have some heavy loads. You got to seal. You got to get those seals to work. You got to get those seals to sit. You know, Jeff told me about a cat motor that he had that was leaking, and he babied it. He had light loads, so he always had light loads going out to California. So one day he decided to do some heavy loads, and it fixed itself. You know, these trucks are meant to work. So I do a combination of, I mean, there are loads that I do that are like literally 45 through the Ozark Mountains, and then, you know, and that gets kind of the DPF working and gets all that going on. And then I have my light loads that are nice and easy on the truck. So the great Freight Sage Logic. How's it going? So, hey Grafton, what's up? I think I forgot to say hi to you. So, but anyways, that's it. That's kind of, that's the gist of it. We talked about fasting. We talked about some of the government nonsense, and we've talked about Johnny Sacco truck buying experience. Look, Johnny, if you're still watching, here's the deal. Favorite term. Buying a truck is the biggest pain in the ass you will ever have to encounter out here. It's not like a new car dealership where you go in and you're like, I want that one. All right, let's do the paperwork. Nope. It sucks too, because when you go to a used car or new car dealership, they will at least act like they're bending over backwards for you. Truck dealers, nah. No. You're getting ready to write the biggest check ever for the biggest investment you've ever had. You can go and start a brick and mortar business for under 20 grand. You're getting ready to write a big signature on a big check of $150,000 on a depreciating asset that could give you problems from day one. And they're going to treat you like crap. That's been my experience. You know, James Best kind of talked about it this morning. Buying a truck is a huge pain. And when you get in a truck that somebody else has lived in and did God who knows who what and knows who what or whatever in it, you know, it kind of sucks, especially for me, because I was always in a brand new truck at Transland. They would literally issue me a brand new truck at 30, 40 miles. And then 2 years later, I'd be in they'd give me another new one. And so it was nice because I knew that I was the first one to do this. I was the first one to sit in this truck and sleep in this bed and do whatever, you know? And to go from that to a 550,000 mile truck for my first truck, that was tough. That was tough. And to write the biggest check I've ever written, ever. And there's a huge risk involved if you don't set things up right, you know. And that's the key of staying in business is what happens in a worst case scenario. And if a tow bill or a tire, like I know a guy that couldn't even afford a blown tire. Yeah, dude, you got issues. You didn't think this through. And that's why cash and credit is important. I thought Snorelord's truck was going in the Truckers Hall of Fame. Johnny Sacco, buying new or not buying one? Have you washed your truck from top to bottom, or do you prefer paint? Ivan, I bought a power washer at home. I've yet to use it on the truck. I would prefer to do that, but time, you know, when I get home, especially this time of year, you got to mow the lawn, you got to do all these different things. You know, there's different things going on at home. Last thing I want to do is ogle over this truck. So for me, it's easier to just get it washed. I have to get it washed here pretty soon. Of course, it's raining when I made that decision because I at least got to wash the wheels because I just got new tires and they use oil on the lug nuts to get them on there, and so the wheels are splattered with oil. So how do I know if my wheel seals are leaking? So that's kind of annoying. So I might end up just using my power washer for the first time at home on the truck. I bought it for the house as well, and that's what we used it for. But so I would prefer to do it myself, but 9 times out of 10, I'm paying for it. So what's better than nothing, Mr. Charles? Congratulations on your first week. Morning, just got home about an hour ago, says Big Houston. James G, good morning. I heard you're getting your own numbers. Brake cleaner on rag cleans the oil from the rims. That's not a bad idea. I got brake cleaner on here. That's a good idea. Thank you, Dutch. I appreciate you. James G, congratulations. I hope that's working out. It's a good move. You know, we've had a lot of guys here So we've had, let's see, mm, mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. We've had five of our contractors going off and get their own authority. Oh no, six. So that's good. You know, when Jeff first started this company, he said that he wanted to help people get to the next step, and he's doing just that. We're going to finish this cup of coffee, and then we'll end the video, and then I got to get to work. I should be looking for a load, but I'm not because I'm an idiot. Will you get bad credit if you buy a truck and can't pay it anymore? Yes, your credit will be dinged. You'll have either a repossession or you have to file bankruptcy. That's the thing. So my first truck, I made sure. Look, I have a friend that lost his house because he made poor decisions with his trucking company. And that would be a nightmare for me. To call the wife and say, hey, we're losing the house. So I made sure that this business would never be able to do that. So that's why I keep my costs low. Now, my wife having income and health insurance is the key to my survival. People like, I have friends that pay all the bills, including healthcare, with their owner operator business. So it can be done, but this truck could take a dump tomorrow. The worst thing that can happen, well, I mean, not this truck, but like my first truck, if it took a dump and I couldn't afford to pay for it, my credit takes a hit. That's it. But they weren't repossessing my house. They weren't, and so when this truck got down to 20 grand on the payoff, I knew that even the bank can't even take the truck back, because if I can't make the payments, I'll just put it on a credit card and extend the payments a little bit or get it refinanced before we hit that point. So I never worried about that. Now, getting a new truck, there's a little bit more anxiety with that. And looking back, that truck would be paid off. If I bought a new truck when I bought this one, that truck would be paid off in February. And I didn't do it. They needed an extra 10 grand down, and that depleted all my resources just in case the truck went down. And I didn't want to be the guy sitting at home with a broke down truck because a warranty thing failed, and then still have to make that payment. It's a recipe for disaster. That's the other thing. You can buy a truck with the best warranty ever, but if it's down, it's down. That still costs you money. So in our situation, like let's say you're at a carrier that has fixed expenses. Well, when you're down, you're acquiring those expenses. Not to mention the home stuff. So, even with a brand new truck with a warranty, you still want enough home stuff for 3 months, enough money to make the truck payment, whether you're running or not. There's a lot to it. A lot of people, the core of it is, the root of the problem is not a lot of people treat this like a business. I didn't when I first started. I got lucky. I got really lucky, made a lot of mistakes, but luckily because of the low risk that I took, the lower risk level, the bad times weren't really that bad. Tim Lippum, good morning. Just checking in. Got to run. Busy day ahead. Be safe. Have an awesome day. Thank you. Let's see. Daniel, how are you doing? This is Big Houston. I'm doing good. Big Houston, how about you? I got to get to work, people. So we're going to finish this cup of coffee. We'll do a couple more minutes and then we're good to go. It's a shame because now we got 40 people. instead of 7. Is there such thing as big rig covers? Because trucks left outside for years will bake your paint and fade and your rubber trim. Yeah, I mean, if your truck sits for a long time, that's bad on any vehicle. The fuel gets old, seals dry up. But yeah, I mean, it's called a tarp. So I mean, they don't make like big covers for T680s or anything like that. You know, the as far as I know, I mean, I could be wrong. So there's always a lot of skin in this game, Mac. Yep, Mac's one of the ones that got our that got his authority out of. He used this as a stepping stone. Most of the time, trucks only sit when they're wanting to be sold. Um, you know, if a truck sits for a month, it's not a big deal. But if it's sitting for years, yeah, you want to cover it up. But by then, it's usually some kind of project truck or a trailer queen. And if you're working on that kind of thing, you're probably got other methods of dealing with that. Usually paint peels before it fades. I've got paint peeling on the front of my truck. That's what I found. Fades only happen on 20 and 30-year-old trucks, but chips, that'll happen with a brand new truck. And it just depends on how well they did the bonding primer in the factory. I want to say this truck's been hit. I do have a bad fade paint job on the door. And I do have the hood matches the truck, so I don't think it's ever been repainted, but the paint's chipping on the front. So it's kind of, when I get the truck washed, I have to tell the guy, hey, easy on the front, because I don't want you to blast it with the power washer and then take a sheet of paint off. So, and that's happened. So, but anyways, guys, look forward to Pale Rider's live feed tonight. Usually happens at 8 o'clock. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm not. Unless I'm driving, I usually try to be on. Take care of yourselves, because no one else is going to do it for you. And keep it between the ditches. Be safe. Head on a swivel. Be careful. Peace.